Okay, so Shalom Aleichem, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to Yora online Smicha. We are in the midst of preparing for Pesach. When you prepare for Pesach, shopping is a very prominent preparation. Food shopping, pot shopping, all these things for Pesach. So there's a question that applies here and applies always generally. Who could you trust when you go to a store and buy food? Everything we learned till now in Siman Kuf Yud Ches Yeridea, that is all if a goy enters in play, meaning it was delivered through a goy, it left the Jewish domain somehow, or there wasn't a watchful eye. So the question is whether you need one chaysam or two chaysamas to know that the item is really the kosher item. But now there's a whole different topic. We're not even dealing with a guy. You're going shopping to the local butcher or the local bakery or the local grocery, and and it's a Jewish-owned bakery, a Jewish-owned grocery, butcher, and you want to know, forget about pricing. You're not only looking for the best price. You'll want to make sure that what you're buying is kosher. Is there a halacha who to trust, when do you see a red flag? Where should you buy your kosher? Who do you trust, and where do you buy your kosher food from? So in the last halacha, in the last siman, you saw that shocking statement from the Ramah, that the Ramah said sometimes to deal with a Yisrael chashud is more problematic than dealing with a goy lahavdil. Because according to the Ramah, you don't necessarily need simanim by a goy, because a goy is not going to swap it. He doesn't care. He doesn't need your corned beef. A Yisrael chashud, he thinks you're not going to check him suspect him as if he's doing something wrong. So he's easier to swap. But that was the shit in the Ramah in the last siman, Siman Kuf Yud Ches. In Yeridea, Siman Kuf Yud Ches, Seif Aleph and Beis, we'll be talking about not so much about swapping. The item that's being sold to you. You're in a grocery, you're in a butcher. Who says it's kosher? Who says it's kosher? It's a Jew. But how do I know? Which Jew could I trust? That sounds very, very scary. Because you have to start with the foundation that every Yid has a cheskas kashrus. Cheskas kashrus means you're innocent until you're proven guilty. You would think so, right? Well, there's 2 points here. There's innocence. Is he intentionally selling you things that are not kosher? That takes cruelty. But then there's another point. He's ignorant. He doesn't know what it means. He doesn't know the details of kashrus. He doesn't know what, especially today's days with all commercial items and all these big machineries where we don't know, a standard consumer doesn't know what problems could be in the process of the making of these foods. So it's not only being a chashud, it could be a question of person lacking experience, lacking knowledge. So when you want to do shopping for Pesach, or you want to do regular meat shopping, is there a criteria what you should look for from who to shop? So Rabbi is saying we're going to learn some interesting things here. We're going to learn Siman Kuf Yud Tes in Yeridea, Seif Aleph and Beis. That will give us a view of who to shop from. Says the Mechaber, HaChashud Lechol Dvarim HaAsurim, and a person who is suspected that he eats some things that are not kosher, Beinim Hu Chashud B'Isser Torah, no matter if the suspicion about him is that he's eating things that are prohibited Minat Torah, let's say he's eating pork, Beinim Hu Chashud B'Isser Rabbanon, or even if he's only suspected that he transgresses things that are prohibited with the Rabbanon. He won't eat pork, but things like stam yenam or whatever it is, which are only with the Rabbanon, he's lax. He's not careful. So ein lismich olav bahem. Listen to those words. Those items. In other words, you cannot be a representative to sell kosher items if you yourself are not eating that kosher item. If you yourself are eating pork, the meat you can't sell. Help up to what he's saying. You could sell other things, and the other things we trust you that it's kosher. But if there is a chash, if there is any suspicion that this particular item you don't care about, you're a chashud, then you cannot buy that item from him. So what do you see from the word chashud? First of all, this is a machloikis, or a chakira, which is brought in Sfarim. Who made this halacha? Is it a rabbinical halacha that a chashud you don't buy from? Or is it a Torah halacha? Because it's all based, the Beis Yosef says that this is based on the din of demai. What's demai? Demai is things that, crops, or things that grew by an Ma'aret's house, in ignoramus's house. The guy doesn't really know the halachas. He doesn't know when you have to give meiser or not. So every time you are dealing with an Ma'aretz, because he doesn't know what to do and what not to do, it's the items that you're getting from him are demai, da-mai. I don't know what this is. I don't know if it's kosher or non-kosher. Because I don't know, therefore you're not allowed to eat the mai. You're not sure that he took meiser from it. Why? Because being that he himself is the type of person that doesn't care about doing meiser, we even if you get it from him, take it from him, you don't know if meiser was taken. So that is the source of this prohibition. That since you're not allowed to eat demai from Amaretz, you're not allowed to eat the things that grew by Amaretz, because you don't know if he gave meiser, because he is a chashud. So, but the whole demai is only a issur d'Rabbanan. So some say that's the proof that this whole chash, where to choose, where to buy from, is only midrabanan. However, the Darkei Tshuva and Sivkot and Tzadik Vav, he brings from the Chikrei Lev that he says that to buy a possible non-kosher food, to buy food from a chashud might be a chash min ha-Torah, because you have to understand what's the flip side. The flip side is the guy is Jewish. Why should we not trust him? Every person has a cheskes kashrus, right? But a person has a cheskes kashrus as one person. Usually, to establish something, you need two witnesses. So why is a cheskes kashrus good enough? Is because if there's no reason to suspect you, so then one Jew is eid echad is fine. But if you enter a suspicion, if there's some reason that we suspect that you're not that good, then you're only one person, and we need two people to verify that you're actually doing the right thing. So because it's a possible issur d'oraisa, some say that this halacha of to buy from a chashud is a problem. Min ha-Torah. So what did we just establish? According to the Mechaber, if the storekeeper is a chashud to eat this item as non-kosher, you can't buy that item from him. Now, what is the definition of a chashud? A chashud doesn't mean that we see him every Monday and Thursday in Burger King eating chazer or McDonald's. A chashud means even if we know that he did it once, twice, it's already a chshad. And the chshad doesn't even have to be proven by two witnesses. What's the English saying? Where there's smoke, there's fire. Right? If there's smoke about this person that he eats pork, you can't buy meat from him. Okay? What do you see from this mechaber? What you see from this mechaber, it's only if there is a chshad. only if there's a chshad on this person you can't buy. Comes the Ramah, V'yesh Omrim, says the Ramah, only if there's a chshad about this person. How about if I move into a new neighborhood? And how about I go into a store, the guy looks at me, he has a nice beard, I don't know anything about him. There's no chshad about him, but I don't know anything about him. Does he automatically have a cheskas kashrus? So the Ramah goes a step further. He says no. Whereas the Mechaber doesn't want you to buy from somebody only if he has a chshad. I don't want you to buy from anybody unless you know that he's a muchzik b'kashrus. It's very important, Rabbi say, huh? V'yesh omrim, there are those that say, afilu mi she'enei chashud, even one who has no suspicion attached to him. There's no reason to suspect him. Rak she'en makirin oisai, she'u muchzik b'kashrus. We just don't know anything about him. He has never we've never established a reputation about him, anything good. We just don't know. Asur liknais mimenu yayin oy sha'ar dvarim sheyesh lachash le'isur. Anything that you might be worried that it's not what you think it is, you're not allowed to buy it from him. Because you're only allowed to buy Listen, you don't know this for a fact. You don't know that he's selling you pork. You think he's selling you kosher. You think he's selling you kshera. But unless you know the person, the owner, the person standing behind the counter, has a cheskas kashrus, not enough that he's not chashud. You cannot buy from a person like that anything which might be an isser. Rabbi say, look at the Taz Beis. That's very heavy. You realize, according to Ramah, you cannot go into a store. How do you, if I go on vacation somewhere, and I went into Florida, I went to Arizona, and I just walk into a store and buy something? How do I, just because the guy who is wearing payas? According to this, you need to have a muchzik b'kashrus. So how do we dodge that bullet? Today it became a thing. You don't go to a store unless you see a hechsher in the window. If you see the hechsher in the window, that replaces the muchzik b'kashrus. Okay, you don't know this person. You're a traveler, but there's a hechsher. You heard about this hechsher. The hechsher is what gives you the rights to shop here. Why do you need this? Why can't I just say, hey, he looks like a good Jew. He lives in the Jewish neighborhood. Says the Taz, you'll be shocked. The Taz quotes Taz Beis. He quotes the Ramah that you cannot buy from anybody. Says the Taz, B'darkei Moshe Kasav. However, the same Ramah who doesn't allow you to buy from just anybody, in his other sefer in Darkei Moshe, he writes, Amnam haminig einei kain. The minig didn't become that way. Anybody who looks Jewish, anybody who looks like a good boy, we accept him. That's what the Ramah says in Darkei Moshe. The Ramah did not say this here in Shulchan Aruch. Here, why didn't the Ramah say that? Because the Ramah changed his mind. The Kivan Shalei Kasva Rav Khan, since here in the Shulchan Aruch, the Ramah doesn't say, just be gentle, just be nice. He looks good, believe him. The Ramah doesn't say that here. Mashma she'ein leinoi kain. The Taz says, don't trust anybody. V'nochaynu, says the Taz, and the Ramah is right. Bifrat, Rabbi say, this is the Taz writing hundreds of years ago. Can you imagine today? Bifrat, especially, she'anu royim kilkul hadairis, we see the generations getting worse and worse, v'loy achshir dara, and it's not getting better. So therefore, don't just walk into a store and feel comfortable buying anything, whatever, whenever. So this is a big machlokes here. The big machlokes is, the Mechaber says you could buy as long as he's not a chashud, and the Ramah says No, don't buy from just anybody. Yeah? Look in Shach. Shach Aleph. Mashma, it's understood from the wording of the Mechaber. The reason why we don't trust this person, Hainu Daf, could be Yadua Shu Kosher. That's only according to the Mechaber. If we know that he's a suspected person of eating treif, we won't buy meat from him. Avol b'stam Yisrael, but if a regular Jew, Samchinan Olav, Afil b'Isser Deiraisa. And he quotes from the Torah, that only a Yisrael Chashud you stay away from, but not a regular Jew. A regular Jew's cheskas kosher lechel imoy. Now, the problem is that if you look right away in the double mervava, which is the Noida Yehuda, you're bringing a proof from the Torah? Did you just quote? Did you listen to the words he quoted from the Torah? He says, a chashud you stay away from. A regular yid, b'stam kol odom, hu b'cheskas kosher lechol imoy. He says, a regular yid, you could eat with him. It doesn't say you could buy from him. What's the difference? The difference is there are two reasons, there are two different types of people. There is a person that money runs his life. And if he can make a quick buck, he'll sell you, he'll scam you and sell you something. He doesn't care. He'll sell you something not kosher. But what does that mean? What doesn't he care? Which halacha doesn't he care about? He doesn't care about lifnei iver le'sit michshel. He doesn't care about giving a stumbling block to somebody else. But he himself, he doesn't eat pork. He himself is a frummy. So, when you're talking about buying things from a person, a chashud, you're not allowed to buy. We're afraid that he doesn't care. But when he eats, as the Mechaber himself in Aleph says, even the chashud, in the sarech imay, if you're staying in his house, don't only eat from the things, don't eat from the things that he's chashud, but look at the Ramah. Miyum the sarech etzlai oichel imay. Even the Ramah who says that you don't just trust anybody, he says you don't just trust anybody for things that he's selling unless he's proven. If he's not a chashud, then you could eat with him in his house. He just can't sell it. So how did the Shach combine these two things? And look at the last line in Shach Aleph. And he says, perhaps maybe the difference could be like this. By a butcher, there's so many things could go wrong in a piece of meat if they're selling it as kosher. So many things could go wrong that the meat should not be kosher. Starting from the health of the animal, treif, till how it was shechted, till what the lungs looked like. There's a million, blood, chalev. This guy never learned the shchita rules. He never went to the shchita school with the best. He took the fast course. Maybe shiny tavoch, shoichet. Maybe a butcher is different. The shchicha tuva. The gam dine shchita merubim. There's so many laws involving hilchas shchita. Uvikal yochel lasis, and it's very easy that you're cutting the animal as a shoichet. It takes a split second, and you didn't shecht it right. So therefore, over there, we got to have a certification that the shochet was a good guy. Or the hashgacha says, we hire good shochtetim that we know that know everything. But if you don't have that certification, you can't just rely on the guy is Jewish. The guy is Jewish. That's not good enough. To go over to the next sif. Sif Beis. Im einay chashud lecho dvarim asurim. If, however, he's a person that is not suspected, he doesn't eat pork. Avahu chashid lemochram, but he is a guy that money talks to him. He himself runs a very religious life, but he might sell pork. He might sell nevela. So then, misarech etzlo, you're allowed to stay in his house. You're allowed to eat with him, but you're just not allowed to buy from him. V'chein im sheleach lebeisoi, or if he sends something to your, as a present, he brings you something to your house, you're also allowed to eat it. Because he's not chazaka shemema shehu oicho mishagaloi. You could believe that from what he personally is eating, that's what he's giving you. He's not stooping in to you dafke isser. He's not evil. Comes the Ramah. There's such a big discussion about a chashud. A chashud for sure you can't buy from him, right? The Ramah said, I say you can't even buy from just a simple Jew. You have to have verification that he's actually trusted. So the Ramah drops the bomb. The Ramah says in Siv Beis, Oiver Aveira L'Te'avain Loi Mikri Chashud. There's two basic reasons why a person would do an Aveira. Now, we all know what the Gemara says. Ein adam over Aveira elam kein nichlas by ruach shdus. That no Yid really does an Aveira unless he becomes some wacky idea enters his head. Because just like a guy's sitting in a respirator, he doesn't pull the plug. Why would a Yid pull the plug from his life support and his connection to Hashem? But what makes a person do an Aveira? What's the ruach shdus? It's either l'tei avain or lahachis. Lahachis is the big low life. Lahachis means to rebel, to get angry at Hashem. Okay, that guy we don't trust him. He has a din Rahman al as a goy. In many halachas, he has a din as a goy. A mumar l'tei oven. Let's say somebody has a strong taiva. He pushes. He can't stay away from hamburgers, from cheeseburgers. It's not because he's going against the Torah. He just has an addiction to cheeseburgers. That person is not what we call a chashud. And if you're going to follow I already said chashud or no chashud, you can't buy. But even according to the Mechaber, who only says you can't buy from a chashud, so let me tell you, somebody who eats l'tei oven is not considered a chashud. So this is a big, you see the Taz Dalid attacks this, and the Gra attacks this, because it obviously is talking about a mummer, all these chashuds that we're dealing with must be tei oven. Because if it's not a tei oven, if it's lahachas, Hapi Halachi is considered a goy. And yet, how could the Ramah say that he's not a chashud?